You see that some young men get gunned down, right? Lost their lives, young men, right? But this shouldn't be something surprising to us as a race of people, as black people, because we should understand by now that this is not the first time that black people have been lynched by people in authority.
What are the bomber clot to them boy, man?
And we're going to go in a little article before we start getting into some scriptures to show that the so-called black man have been lynched for hundreds and thousands of years. We already know about slavery.
I.S.U.P.K.
Anyway, my dogs go in on the street, them bad. Gun talking up with jeans member. If any somebody ever treat them bad, send the pussy them but meet them God. Louis V kicks pan we feed them bad. Catch a new drip, dog we beat them bad. Look how we just come and we a beat them bad. You know sister we's them dad. Hey, but anyway though, this a no playground. The Glock 19, they have to stay round. Nah take no check with me payroll. Anything rise up.
We already know about slavery. How he was kidnapped from the west part of Africa and brought on this side of the world. Lynched and murdered. Thrown overboard. To the degree where he start making shark trails to and fro. Right, the direction of the ships. It is time for the so-called black man to understand what is taking place. So we're going to get a little history to understand how the police service started in Trinidad and Tobago. Because don't feel that this lynching of black people started just so. This was established by an oppressor, the so-called white man. Started this brutal police service here in Trinidad and Tobago. Right? And one of the names is a popular name that we know about here in Trinidad, which is Picton. We know recently that a big protest to start pulling down some of the statues because the people start becoming aware that these statues that we have had in the country for years, glorifying as heroes are actually murderers. The ones that murdered blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. And we're going to read about one here before we get into some scriptures by the name of Picton. All right, go ahead and read.
Picton came to public attention initially for his alleged cruelty during his governorship in 1797 to 1803.
Right, read that again.
Picton came to public attention initially for his alleged cruelty.
For what?
His alleged cruelty.
So this is how Picton, a so-called white man, came to attention, right, in Trinidad and Tobago because of his cruelty. And this is what we don't understand about the other races. This is what we don't understand about the so-called white man. This is what we don't understand about your oppressor. Most of the times, or all of the times, we see in the glorification of the so-called white man is because of what?
It's cruelty.
Because of the cruelty against blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. Watch the historical records of the so-called white man on the earth. Every evil thing on this earth was inspired and designed by the so-called white man. We see what happened to the Chinese in we call the thing Hiroshima and Kamasaki, where they dropped the bomb in World War II and kill all these we call them again Chinese people or Japanese people. We see the lynching of the so-called black man through the transatlantic slave trade. We see Ronald Reagan flooding the black communities with drugs in America. You understand? These are the cultures of the so-called white man that even the other races have absorbed and have used to oppress the so-called black man. All right, read on.
As a result of which he was put on trial in England for approving the illegal torture of a 14-year-old girl.
Right, so this white man, Picton, illegally tortured a young girl in Trinidad, 14 years old. This is a history a lot of us will not know about. That this white man tortured this 14-year-old black child, just as the brother was bringing out earlier, is a pattern of oppression against blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. And we're going to show you the secret and a little white so-called black man, how this must be dealt with. All right, read on.
Though initially convicted, Picton later had the conviction overturned.
Read that one more time.
Though initially convicted, Picton later had the conviction overturned.
So the same thing the brother was bringing out earlier with we call the people them ling. After they get captured all them guns on them in the possession, they walk out from the prisons. They make a day in jail. It's the same thing have been happening for hundreds and thousands of years to the so-called black man. After the so-called black man was lynched, you know what happened? They overturned the case. Picton was no longer he was no longer charged. He was no longer held accountable. And this is what is happening in the society against the so-called black man. When we are lynched, when we are raped, when we are molested, when we are abused as a race of people, no one is held accountable. Right. We see that article in Foreign. They say again a woman jailed because she was involved in a child molesting ring, right? Trafficking children and giving them to the elite. So here what they say, we go jail this woman. So they give she a couple years jail. But all the persons who she gave children to, not one of them end up inside the prison house. Right. Everybody was able to walk free. You understand? Because they are the wicked in society. Right, read on.
Though initially convicted, Picton later had the conviction overturned, arguing that Trinidad was a subject to Spanish law.
Right, so they always have a system in place, right, to win the so-called black man. That is what we always say, the so-called white man is the deceiver or the devil that the Bible speaks of. Right. They always have a system in place to win you. So after they take this 14-year-old girl, tie she up on a pole by one arm, and now that she balancing on a peg by she foot. You understand? 24 hours or 48 hours, the white man was able to walk away. Right? And where the so-called black man stand right now? Nobody to tell the black man, after we have faced all these brutal killings, murders and lynchings for hundreds and thousands of years, what is the black man supposed to do? Who is the one to say to the black man, all right, well, this is the next move to make. Well, let me get into some scriptures and make you understand what's taking place, so-called black man. Right. All right, Tawana. It's time for us to understand. Time for the so-called black man to understand what is taking place with him. Because if you don't understand this black man and know what's going on, we will keep getting lynched, we will keep getting robbed, we will keep getting spoiled, we will keep getting murdered in this society, so-called black man. What we condition today? When the Most High is saying to us that we are royal people and a holy people above all other people on the face of the earth. But give me the first scripture, Babakosha.
The book of Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
How black people are destroyed?
For a lack of knowledge.
This is how the so-called black man are destroyed. We are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. And this is what we must understand. This is what we must understand, so-called black man. The knowledge that we have in our heads and our minds cannot save us and cannot save our household, so-called black man. Right. Because here we gain that knowledge from. We gain that knowledge from the Christian church. We gain that knowledge from the imams. We gain that knowledge from the Egyptologists. We gain that knowledge from the books, the secret. You understand? The art of war. All these garbage that the oppressor placed on the so-called black man, that is where we gain with knowledge. And that knowledge that we get as a race of people is what is destroying each other. Right. The Christian leaders set up over the so-called black man in all these churches, in all these mosques, in all these imams. Right? This knowledge that they have cannot help the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man. Right? Give me the book of Isaiah chapter 46 and verse 10. Let me get to that, Babakosha, 46 and 10. Because our Christian leaders were set up or supposed to be the ones to give us protection from this society, from this hell, from this danger. But you know what happening? Let the Lord tell you what's taking place. Read.
The book of Isaiah chapter 56 and verse 10. His watchmen are blind.
What happened to the Christian leaders?
His watchmen are blind.
The scriptures are saying that the watchmen, the leaders of blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics, your Creflo-Dollar, your T.D. Jakes, your Pastor Coffees, God is saying that they are blind. Right. Time for us to understand these things, so-called black man. These things is going to make us understand what is taking place with us and what it is we need to do. The watchmen for black people are blind. Read on.
They are all ignorant.
They are what?
They are all ignorant.
So when people want to walk around in the ghetto and call it cockroach and pest, hear what God's saying, you know, use the problem. He's telling you Christian leaders, the religious leaders, they're all ignorant, not some of them. Right. You can call out anyone you want. You can call Pastor Gemma, you can call T.D. Jakes, the long list. They are ignorant according to God. Right. Because the things that they teach our people are not according to the scriptures. The things that they teach blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics cannot help us to come out from this hell. Read on.
They are all dumb dogs.
They are what?
They are dumb dogs.
They are dumb dogs. All these religious leaders we see in all these whole houses where they call Christian church, God is saying that they are dumb dogs.
Right.
According to the scriptures. Dumb dogs. And if the Lord is calling the Christian leaders dumb dogs, and when we go inside the Christian church and we sit down in there, dance and sing and clap, and then on top of it, give away we money to dumb dogs, then what is the situation?
Right.
When they leave from the Christian church and they come home, it get worse.
Right.
It worse for you. Your wife went to church and she come back, it worse. Because when she went to church, she didn't get food, and when she come back, she tired. Go ahead, brother.
If there's dumb dog, why are you going inside the church after?
But that is what we're saying. We is here to make the so-called black man understand, Native Indian Hispanics, that church has nothing to do with you. That was set up by the Catholic system. That was set up even during the time that the Karaks and Arabs to keep us in slavery and to keep us in bondage, so-called black man.
Right.
All right, read on.
They are all dumb dogs.
They are what?
They are all dumb dogs.
The scriptures is saying that your religious leaders and all going over them, there's dumb dogs. That is what God's saying. Your Christian pastors is dumb dogs. That is according to the Bible. And am I saying, you know what, you ever have a dumb dog in the yard? I saw it about a couple people throw a dog already home. You know what happening? You're feeding that dog day and night. And when it's time for the dog to bark and to get a warning, and intruder coming, a danger coming, you hear nothing. The dog watching the enemy and wagging his tail. So according to God, Christian leaders, imams, and the long list, Egyptologists, all this knowledge we get in, God is saying they are dumb dogs. Read that one more time.
The book of Isaiah chapter 56 and verse 10. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs.
Dumb dogs, so-called black man, all religious leaders, according to God. Because they do the so-called black man at the service. When we see the so-called black man being lynched and murdered and gunned down in the streets, when we see all these drugs in the ghetto, when we see all these demise facing the so-called black man, what your Christian pastors do? He just talk about them misuse, or he just call in church to give away money, to dance, clap, and sing. What you just teach your so-called black man, give you strategies to help build your community, so-called black man, to make your hell heaven?
Right.
Is that what the Christian leader do for the so-called black man? Nah, he pushing more and more to every agenda that can help him to get more and more money. Read on.
They cannot bark.
They cannot do what?
They cannot bark.
Yeah, your Christian leaders can't bark. How Creflo and TD Jakes and Pastor Coffee them go back? You know when they bark, what has happened? But all the people throughout history try to bark. You know people who try to bark is like Marcus Garvey.
Right.
Them is like people who try to bark. Try to bark. They can bark good enough, but we will bring it and show you. They try to bark. But you know what happening? When religious leaders try to bark, there's no money for them. The system is not going to invest in churches that is going to help or warn the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man how to govern himself in this society, under this system. Read on.
They're sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber.
So this is what the Lord's saying about all Christian leaders. You know what they're doing right now? Why is all they working all the 9 to 5 and busting open all their back and all their boss cussing all here? Right now God's saying here, Christian pastor doing. He's sleeping. He's sleeping right now. And slumbering, they're having a time. Don't be surprised right now you're in the house. Read that part one more time for me. Your Christian pastor sleeping. Read on.
Sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber.
And he loving to slumber.
Verse 11. Yeah, they are dumb, Salakia. They are all greedy dogs, which can never have enough.
Which can what?
Can never have enough.
And this is what the scriptures is saying about the Christian leaders. You know what he's saying? They can never have enough. All that tithes, love gives and offering what I get before the COVID. When the COVID come, they still white. And now the COVID finish, or wrapping up, people trying to catch the link. You know what they're trying to do? They're still trying to get more. That is their mission. Read on.
And they are shepherds that cannot understand.
And what?
They are shepherds that cannot understand.
And they are shepherds that cannot understand. And we're going to give you the better understanding of the Bible, so-called black man, in 2 minutes. Read on.
They all look to their own way.
Tell me what others do.
They all look to their own way.
And this is the spirit of the so-called white man, of the oppressor that your Christian leaders pick up. They're all seeking their own way.
Right.
Watch how your Christian pastors operate. You ain't see when he's driving a nice vehicle, he in church talking to you nice.
Right.
Watching you in your face, greeting you, saluting you. But you happen, when he see you on the road, he pass you straight like he never know you.
Right.
Treat you like a dog. Because you know what happened? He whole mindset and agenda is to seek his own way.
Right.
And everyone will look at attest that spirit that a Christian pastor have, that is the spirit of our oppressor.
Right.
The spirit of the so-called white man. Right, read on.
They all look to their own way, everyone for his gain.
Everyone for his what?
Everyone for his gain.
Everyone for his gain. Your Christian pastor just about his gain.
Right.
He just want to gain more power. You understand? He want to gain more finances.
Right.
He want to gain more security for himself and for his girl or
Right.
girls. That's what he about. He alone what he trying to spring.
Right.
No interest in the black community.
Right.
No interest to the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man. You understand? Because he had the spirit of a devil on him. The spirit of the so-called white man.
Right.
That is what passed down from since slavery. You know, they sucked at that. You understand? All the Christian leaders, right? And decide that here what going on is more gain to oppress my own people.
Right.
That is what your Christian pastors doing. Is more gain to oppress my own people. More gain. Read on.
From his quarter, verse 12. Come ye, say they, I will fetch wine, and we will fill ourselves with strong drink.
What are we going to do?
We will fetch wine, say like we will fill ourselves with strong drink. And tomorrow shall be as this day, and much more abundant.
And that is the mindset of the Christian pastor. They are not interested in helping the black community. Hear what they're saying? We will fetch wine. We go fetch wine today and more wine tomorrow. Today go be better than tomorrow, don't worry. All of this hold on. You understand? That's what the Christian leader telling the minions and them, the bishop and the and we call the rest of them again? The evangelists and everything. Don't worry on yourself. We will like myself today and don't worry. Better coming.
Right.
Just hold on. You understand? Blessings upon blessings. Blessings upon blessings. They have nothing in the spirit to really deliver blacks, Native Indian and Hispanics.
Right.
That is why now they will always come up against the I.S.U.P.K. They will always come up against righteousness. They will always come against men that fear the Lord.
Right.
This is what we must understand, blacks, Native Indians and Hispanics.
Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain. Something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord?